groupthink worksheet. I know I told you all to turn that in. If you haven't turned it in, pass it to Cole and he will turn that in for you. Go ahead, turn that in. Okay. So our job was to think about the lottery in terms of groupthink, right? So first of all, what does groupthink mean? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Is this how everybody work?
It's
Yes.
Okay, pause, hold on. We have distractions.
I'm trying to
Cole is distracting. I know you are.
You were right. That purity test you took.
We're on YouTube. We are on YouTube. We're on YouTube.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So, who wanted to tell me what groupthink was? Alexis, go for it.
It's when a group makes a decision that kind of lowers the individual thoughts and decisions one person can make.
Yeah, okay, no, you're correct. So here's a technical definition of it. It occurs when individuals in a cohesive group are not considering other outside perspectives. They are focused on coming to a consensus so that they will not disagree with each other, right? So everybody wants to think what everybody else thinks. It's groupthink. Okay, now before we actually talk about the lottery, I want to go ahead and get out whatever notes that you like to write down notes on. I want to go over the causes of groupthink. And as we're going through this, I want you to think, are any of these present in the lottery that we read? Okay, so the first, and don't, remember when you're taking notes, feel free not to write down everything, just that's the first part there and any other little shorthand that you want to. You don't have to write down everything verbatim. But the first cause of groupthink is the lack of impartial leadership, meaning you have someone in power who thinks highly of either their opinion or someone else's. They are not necessarily fair or equal. They have maybe an agenda. They have a friend who they want to elevate their opinion, anything like that. Okay, so the leadership is not impartial. I don't know, do we see that in the lottery? I don't know if we necessarily see one particular leader who is biased in a certain way. So that might not be a cause in the lottery for what happens. 2, lack of diversity in the group. Okay, and that doesn't just mean color of skin. That can mean gender. That can mean age. That can mean political beliefs. There are a lot of things, or education level. So this is one reason why when lawyers are screening for jury members, the prosecution and the defense sometimes don't want diverse bodies of juries because they want them to think a certain way and they all want them to have groupthink, right? So if, let's say that a 17-year-old male was convicted of drunk driving and the lawyer was trying to get a jury of people who would convict him, he would not want a diverse body of jurors. He would want perhaps all female, right? Because moms are going to have bleeding hearts. He would want people maybe who all thought the same and who all were affected. Where's my drink?
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Okay, so lack of diversity can cause groupthink, which is what lawyers sometimes want, but which we do not want if we want to be fair and equitable. All right, next, stress. Oh, first of all, do we think we see that in the lottery? Lack of diversity?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way, right? Because they all are living in the same area. They probably all grew up thinking the same way. They're not outsiders. All right, next, stress. So when you put a group under stress, they are more likely to quickly come to well, not necessarily quickly, but they are more likely to feel like they need to be cohesive in what they are saying, and therefore groupthink can occur. Have you ever been a part of a group that you really need to get done something quickly, and so you just don't say your opinion because you're like, okay, we got to do this quickly. I have something else that I'm thinking about, but I don't want to talk about it. Let's just get it done fast. Okay. What about in the lottery? Do you think that stress was a factor in them all going along with this plan to stone someone?
I don't think it's necessarily stress. It's more the ideals of like how it benefits the harvest that people are going by.
Okay. Yeah, possibly.
How do you spell opinions?
OPINIONS.
Thank you. I kept getting stuck. I really, really hated that one wife that kept. I know in that situation I probably would have done the same.
Yeah.
But something about that annoying, crying little character.
Agreed. All right, number 4, time constraints. So, I mean, I use that as an example for stress, but stress can be induced by other things besides time constraints. But definitely time constraints can cause groupthink to occur. It can increase the anxiety and lead to groupthink. So time constraints. Okay. 5, highly cohesive groups. You would think that this is a good thing most of the time, right? For everybody to get along, everybody to be friends. But sometimes that can lead to groupthink because you don't want to rock the boat. You all do have similar beliefs, similar values perhaps. And so dissension or new ideas are not often heard. So groups that are cohesive, or you could say sticky groups. Sometimes I like to say that. They stick together. All right, lack of outside perspectives. I think that this is a huge one for the lottery, right? There were not outside perspectives coming in and seeing things with a fresh pair of eyes. That doesn't mean you have to bring other people to be a part of your group, but when you have maybe ask mom or dad, hey, can you look over this? Does this make sense? Or ask another person for ideas if you all are stuck. That can help groupthink to be busted up, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute, the ways that you can get rid of groupthink. Right, Maddie?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. All right.
Need to know.
You need to know what?
Later. You'll know.
Okay. All right. Motivation to maintain group members' self-esteem. Now, this can sound like a good thing, right? You want everyone to feel good about themselves. I don't want Autumn to think that she's dirt. I want her to think that she's amazing. So when she says an idea that I think might be dirt, I'm not going to say anything because I want her to just feel good about herself, right? Okay, well, that's nice and everything, but that can contribute to groupthink and be ultimately detrimental to team progress. Okay, so those are the ways that groupthink sometimes occurs, fosters groupthink ideas. So let's talk about the ways to minimize groupthink. So what are the ways that we could use when we want to get rid of a groupthink mentality in a team that we are working on? Again, please don't write all this down. All right, first of all, evaluate all ideas critically. Meaning, give the same preference to, let's say Cole is the expert. We've used this before. Cole is the expert on YouTube, and we're doing a project about YouTube. But then Maddie Wallace has an idea, and Maddie knows nothing about YouTube except how to watch it. I don't know. Is that true, Maddie? I don't know. She might. Hey, she might be a YouTube queen. But she comes and she has an idea. That means we give her opinion weight just as much as we give Cole's. We let all ideas be heard and evaluated critically. That also means that we're not going to take what Cole says as gospel. We're going to evaluate his idea with the same level of criticism that we would Maddie's, and vice versa. Okay, this one is a big one. As a group leader, so even if you haven't officially been given that title of group leader, as a group leader, keep your stinking ideas to yourself at first. Okay? Because group leaders usually carry more weight. And also, we have a bias towards our own ideas. We obviously, because they're ours, we think that they're better. So if we hold back and give others the opportunity to speak, first of all, they're going to feel more comfortable. Secondly, we are going to be more willing to listen, whereas before we may not. If we say our idea and the rest of the group thinks, well, they're the leader, they know what they're talking about, let's just go with that. I'm not going to say what I think, okay? Hold your ideas back until everyone has had a chance to give their ideas. Okay, have smaller group discussions. Let's think about the lottery. We have this whole town gathered here, but we hear probably voices that might be wanting to doubt things. What if like 5 of them scooted off and started talking? And then another 6 scooted off and started talking. And these smaller groups had the chance to talk amongst themselves. I think we probably would have stopped this tradition of the lottery if each of the individual small groups then were able to chat about things and come to a consensus. Sometimes it happens at school. I want you to think about how if you're in chapel and something is said that you don't agree with, do you feel of course, let's say the speaker said, does anybody have any questions? Do you feel comfortable in that large area, that large group speaking up? Probably not. But what about when you go and get in another small group? You probably feel comfortable there. So breaking up into smaller groups can sometimes bust up that groupthink mentality. Consider an outsider's opinion. This would have also helped in the lottery, right? If an outsider had come in who had not had any idea, had never heard of this concept of the lottery, of stoning someone based on drawing their name out, and they had said, you do realize that this is an insane thing that you're doing. And they had considered it, that could possibly have stopped that groupthink mentality within the lottery. Okay, lastly, have a devil's advocate. So who is familiar with that term, devil's advocate? Anybody ever heard that? Yeah. That is basically when you take an opposing side. So let's say Alexis tells me that Harry Potter is a good series for people for like middle school kids to read. And then even though I like Harry Potter, I'm going to take the opposite side and say, well, here's why I think it's not, da, 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 da. And then Alexis has an opportunity to defend her viewpoint. Even if I still agree with her, playing the devil's advocate can help people to think through their ideas more clearly, but also to maybe find holes in people's ideas. This is different, though, than being negative. Okay? If you're negative and always criticizing, you might come at it and be like, Alexis, that's so stupid. Harry Potter's dumb. Okay? Or, okay, that's just pessimist or saying, well, I don't think that's right. But a devil's advocate is going to come at it more like, okay, I see what you're saying. Let's look at it from a different point of view for a second. Okay? So devil's advocate can definitely help bust up groupthink. All right. So I think that's it for groupthink. Yes, ma'am.
What was for me and I just this year stuff?
Consider an outsider's opinion. Okay, next I want you to keep your papers out. I know we're doing a lot of writing today. We are going to talk about how to make a decision. Isn't that exciting, Autumn? How to make a decision. Okay, decision within our teams.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is this is, all my tabs, Okay, I want us to think about a scenario. Okay, here, page 29 is what I wrote it on. Okay, it's lunchtime, right, Caitlin? It's lunchtime. You open your lunchbox and you find it's empty. You usually pack your lunch the night before, so you're sure you didn't forget it at home. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? We are going to use John Dewey. Let me bring up John Dewey. John Dewey, that's his name. His 7-step approach to problem solving. Here's how you... 7-step. They're not long steps. Okay, so John Dewey. John Dewey. You're out of paper. It's time was the last night? I love it. I love it. Okay. So this step 1 is going to be, here's just background about him. Famous philosopher, educator. Great. Love that. Number 1, identify the problem. That may seem super simple, but sometimes when we're thinking about the problem, we can get sidetracked on little side issues. So the main problem here, what is the main problem? Is the main problem that you're not sure what happened to your lunch, or is the main problem that you want lunch to eat? Which one is it? You got to pick one to focus on. One to focus on at a time. Cole wants to know what happened to his lunch. Ava wants to eat.
Well, in the real world, you have to focus on multiple problems and multitasking.
Well, you do, but we're going to do, even in the real world, we can take one problem and run it through the steps quickly, and then come back to another problem and run it through the steps quickly.
So it's got to be at home.
Well,
You can't do nothing about
well,
that.
okay, so Ava wants to eat. We're just going to say we want to eat. We want to eat. That is our problem right now. We want to eat. Okay?
All right, so if we want to eat...
Hold on. That's it. That's it. That's pause. That's identifying the problem. The problem is I have no food and I want to eat. Okay? All right, analyze the problem. Gather information about the problem. What are the causes and the symptoms? Consider the history of the problem and how it might be impacting you or others. Okay, so obviously this is for, which we'll talk about later, in a business and something that is more a deeper issue. For our lunch, this is pretty simple. What is the information about the problem? Well, I packed the lunch. Lunch is not there. Has this ever happened to me before? And what did I do if it happened to me before? Has it ever happened to you, Ava?
What? Leaving lunch at home?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right. Next, establish criteria for solution. Meaning, okay, just to put it down, that bottom sentence right there is what this means. What are your goals and priorities? If you solved the problem, what goal would that be meeting? For our lunch solution, the goal would be what? Eat. Okay, that is the goal. The criteria for the solution is to eat in this situation. All right, 4. Now here's the going to propose possible solutions by brainstorming. Okay, so brainstorming, in case you're not familiar with that, is throwing out ideas no matter how crazy, outlandish, or unrealistic they may be. Throw out some ideas for how we can meet our goal of eating. Go for it.
Get some from the vending machine.
Okay, vending machine. What else?
Call your mom.
Call your mom. What else?
Order pizza.
Order pizza. What else?
Steal other people's food.
Perfect. Steal people's food. DoorDash. Uber Eats. Leave school. Yes. Okay, so those are possible solutions. Now, next, we're going to evaluate these solutions. So now let's look at each solution. Vending machine. Does it have anything that we like? Calling mom. Would mom actually come? DoorDash. Do I have the money? Leaving school. Will I get in trouble? Stealing. Will I get in trouble?
No.
Okay, so this is where you actually think through the solutions. The previous step, you just do the brainstorming. And that's something important to remember with brainstorming. You don't judge your ideas in that stage, okay? But this is the stage where you're going to judge your ideas. All right, 6. Here's where you select the solution. Which one do you think, based on criteria, best meets what you need? Which one would you choose? Even though you get in trouble, you don't care. Cannibalism, beautiful. Okay, vending machine, I don't know. All right, okay, so selecting. And then the 7th one is not needed in this situation, but the 7th one is suggest strategies to implement the solution. So how are we gonna make this happen? If you're going to do Uber Eats, then this step would be, okay, I got to get out my app. I got to figure out what I'm going to order, and I got to do that. Okay, if you're going to call your mom, then the strategies to implement this would be, I got to pick up the phone. I got to call mama.
Is it
right?
something that humans kind of, this process, isn't this something we kind of do subconsciously?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, we do. Absolutely. And especially with everyday decisions, do we all sit down and go through these steps? No. But it can be helpful in a team, especially if you're stuck within a decision, or as a business, if you're making a big decision, to make sure that you're adequately going through each one of these steps. Okay, so today what we're going to do
business
Are
tip?
we ready? I am looking at the time. We are going to do a group thing because y'all love group things.
Group things or think?
Group things.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna peace out on the YouTube since that was all the notes for today. And ciao.